does product certification remove the risk for the asset owner adopting a new product? We'll start with you, Barry, actually.
Okay, well, Matt, thank you very much. A statement was made not 5 minutes ago, actually, about our industry and those that are employed within the reinstatement of ironworks in particular, but also the fields that we undertake when it comes to openings in highways. And it was industry looking at it and saying, why do we need to change? We have always done it this way. And from personal experience, I have been called to site to look inside an opening because the reinstatements were failing on a regular basis, and we were being asked to finance a scheme to remove that piece of ironwork from the carriageway and stick it in the verge. The actual practice is, when you looked at the hole, you saw all end of materials that were being used to hold up what was ironwork that was in a trafficked area where HGVs were constantly moving. We're talking coke cans, we've got telephone directories, we've got inappropriate class of brick. The materials weren't even bonded. There was nothing inside that hole that actually met with any of the technical guidance that we have debated throughout today. And it was repeatedly failing, and the contractor was repeatedly coming to site to do the repair. The conclusion there is the repairs were always being botched. Now, that's not a fair assessment of my industry. It might be an assessment of a couple of rogues, but that is not my industry. So when I talk about product certification, will it remove the risk? Then certifications in their own right do not remove risk. Certifications give you confidence that that system has been applied appropriately in the laboratory and under test conditions. The only way you as a client are going to negate the risk is by taking action yourself. That means that you undertake a series of assessments, whether it's coring of the materials that have been installed at an agreed period of time before you adopt that installation. A simpler way will be to ask for method statements at the front of the installation. So not just give it over to your primary contractor and say, please go and do a repair. Tell me what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Let me make an assessment. That means that they are also helping you understand what the technical requirements are. As-built evidence. Let's start asking for as-built evidence. That's your drawings. That means that assessment of any new product can be achieved at the source.
We'll stay over here with you, Russell. Does certification take risk away?
Well, let's start looking at certification itself. So product certification, in my view, is an excellent thing in principle. But I'd also argue the fact that having a declaration of performance for a product that has been tested and could have been tested by multiple different agencies across the country, which can include universities and others, is also as meaningful when it comes to the actual product performance as a test certification. But I think the bigger thing here is you can have a certified product, and as Barry's been explaining, you can have a certified product, you can have a certified group of products, and they've been put into the road, but they put into the road the wrong way, and they will not perform. And so does that remove the risk for the asset owner? Not. What we need to be focusing on here is ensuring that the installers are trained. And we're just the venue we've got here. So we're with Fareham College. They've got a highways academy called CTEC. So this is a perfect platform where we can embrace new innovation. We can help to train the new cohorts that are coming into the industry so they know how to do the job the right way the first time we talked about earlier. And that is how we're going to minimise the risk to asset owners. So yes, you have a whole selection of great products. They're all great performing products. Some might be certified, some might have declaration of performance. Bring them all together with an expert installation team and you've got a great fix. That's my point today.
That's all.
Yeah, I support what Russell mentioned in this one. It's absolutely great, to have a certification for our products, and especially if this one comes in a short time after, so if the invention, innovation, and the testing show a brilliant, material is coming, out, then as Russell, mentioned, the risk is on the execution. So whether you prepare the reinstatement site, to the requirement, also the surrounding, material around it. So I would suggest not only the certification of the product, I think, the installation and the way the people, they come back, and monitor the construction is extremely important to make sure that the product will perform as the people who certify this approve that it should be. Thank you.
Final say to you, Carl.
Thank you. So, product certification, brilliant. It tells you what can be achieved in the laboratory on that day or monitored on site. Very, very small sample of it. What I think is equally important is a really, really well written installation methods statement that goes with your product. Your product, you know your product better than anybody, and a good installation methods statement you will be able to write into that exactly how you want it installed, what circumstances, what conditions, what depths. You can vary the depths outside the SRH as long as it's part of your certificate. You can say actually this material performs better if we do it at this, and it's really good. And you've got to have that. It's got to be detailed. It's got to be understandable for guys on the ground. So cut out the flowery language. This is an installation method statement. Pictures are great in installation method statements, and training. So Russell alluded to this before. If you've got a product that's a high quality, high value product, insist that you do training with the guys to install it. And therefore, you've got better stuff. Just very quickly, why most utilities, not all councils, but we have a system that we follow now. So the guys turn up on site, they have to photograph the site before they start work, they photograph the site during work, and it's a really good way of having a reinstatement method statement in effect, but catalogued and recorded against that specific job. So if something does happen with that job in the future, you can look back and say, well, why was that? Well, it was -3 and it was snowing heavily. Probably wasn't, was that was that allowed at the time? So basic stuff, but trying to join it all together.
So from the answer that everybody's given, do we think there's too much emphasis on and maybe too much interest in getting a product certified over that same amount of emphasis and energy into teams within businesses to implement these products correctly?
Yeah, so one thing I'd like to maybe bounce off Carl here is if you've got a product that is certified, and as you alluded to there, it's going to go through those lab tests. You're going to do a series of lab tests, and then you're going to go and take it out and do one very small trial on the highway. Whereas you might have a declaration of performance, which will go through exactly the same lab tests, and it will have multiple road trials, but it won't be maybe not under the same test conditions and under prescribed periods. For a utilities contract, is there any risk in taking a product that hasn't gone through that sort of prescribed 6 months small test patch to get a certificate, but it does have all the declaration of performance that says it will perform bang, bang, bang. So, product acceptance scheme certificates. I've actually sat with a group that has reviewed some of the products that have gone in, and depending on who does the process, they are asking, have you got 2 years of your material being in the ground? So you may have done some development work, you've worked with a local council, and it's really important you can go back to that, take a core out of it, you can show it's actually your material. And that's the thing about sort of the A9 thing. It used to be 2 years, and it was really frustrating for producers because there was no money coming in because they couldn't sell anything for 2 years. But there is accelerated ways of doing this now through lab testing. It's not a straightforward answer, I'm afraid, but the product acceptance scheme certificate, as with HAPAS, it won't be on a single thing. It will be over a period of time, and it will be backed up by laboratory testing. Yeah, so I think the point maybe here is to having local authorities that will engage and enable products to be tested. So we've got that sort of catalogue of test sites, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, etc. helps to accelerate. New
Test sites in your car park aren't that much value. They've got to be out there in real life and monitored. And you've got to accept that if something goes wrong, we'll sort it.
Can I add just to this one? We are lucky in a country whereby the environment is a little bit different in the north, in the middle, and the south. And equally worldwide, you have hot countries, you have cold countries, and you have, the loading on the road itself. I think, any trial is limited to one location, one council is not enough really to produce, the certification for the material, in addition to the certification of the implementation and the construction of the material and the monitoring of the material for a long time. So I will recommend it that for any certification, need to cover all the criteria, all the environmental condition expected during the life times of using these materials as reinstatement.
Thank you for that. The issue here, it's about risk. So we work in an industry that is risk averse. There is an element of risk in living, I appreciate that, and actually, as far as our industry is concerned, we have made huge leaps in making the working environment a safe place to be. So it's methods that have been employed, it's behaviours that have been changed, and we would then turn around and champion that position from the construction industry. When it comes down to materials and what we are doing with our materials, well, we know that we don't use hazardous materials, or we minimise the use of those in certain environments. But we do not then change our behaviour to actually look at what is the appropriateness for use of materials in certain circumstances. Our contracts, for instance, refer back to product assurance or certifications that will take a number of years to actually achieve. And in that period of time, we'll continue doing things in the old methods because that's how we have always done it. We know it's tried and tested. Actually, in truth, those methods have never been properly tested from a particular environment. Hassan's just alluded to that. Different parts of the country have different requirements depending on the seasons. So for myself, product assurance gives me an idea that actually a product is working, and I can look at it and I can judge it. But it doesn't tell me whether that's the most appropriate product to be used in that certain circumstances. And there are products out there that are being introduced today that will give me certainty for the future, and maybe I should take that little level of risk, adopt, as Carl said there, the method statements, the analysis, the research and development work that's gone behind it, and agree that that is suitable for my assets.
Thank you very much.
Just one comment, to add to this one, that the crew who are going, to work on site and complete, the reinstatement needs to be trained.